Well, hey, Facebook and YouTube and wherever else this might appear. We are so happy to be here today. I'm Tia Knapp, and this is Dr. Michael Gross.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for
Michael,
joining.
oh, yeah, exactly. Thank you for joining. Michael's got a beautiful message for everyone, and I just wanted to give you a minute to let you know that we do this every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, right, Michael?
Absolutely.
And Michael always has valuable information. So we're really thrilled that you're joining us. And I'm going to go ahead and go introduce him to you so that we can get on because we don't like to keep anybody waiting too long. Your time is precious and we appreciate your time. Dr. Michael Gross is an author, professional keynote speaker, transformational coach, and an entrepreneur for more than 10 decades. I better fix that one, right? More than
Well,
3 decades. Sorry. He's been on a spiritual path as an intuitive, a healer, a spiritual counselor, and an incredible teacher. Through the guidance of spirit, Michael has assisted others in their personal quest for self empowerment, helping them to create the lives that they have long sought and to bring forth their intuitive abilities. Michael currently teaches classes in spirituality, self empowerment, Reiki, and other modalities. In concert with God, the true source, he has also achieved great success and miraculous healings. He remains humble, knowing that the work that he does all comes from God, the true source. Michael currently lives in Lakewood, Washington, and has recently launched his nonprofit. Why don't you take a minute, Michael, and share a little bit about the nonprofit and then go right into the topic?
all right. Name of the nonprofit 501c3 is the International Institute of Self Empowerment. And it's all about exactly self empowerment. And when Spirit asked me to do it, it said it's going to have 12 arms or divisions. And the first one is helping abused women, children, and men. And I found someone who's an expert at that, who's a survivor. It's Tia Knapp. She wrote a book, Healing the Holes in Your Soul, and she was consented to be my director in that area. So thank you so much. Our website will be up in 2 or 3 days, so it'll be really great. And just know that we're open to donations. Enough said about that, but thank you. All right, we affectionately call it TISE, TIISE, the International Institute of Self Empowerment. So today, I wanted to talk to you about a symbiotic relationship. Before we get started, Tiu is so kind, so great that she posts a lot of information on this beautiful website that we do, and also on this podcast, as I call it, or Facebook Live. So when you see her bending down, she's posting the information, how to get in touch, so on and so forth, and she's not playing with her phone or doing something else. So sorry if it may distract other people, but she's only doing it for a few minutes so you can have have acquiesced to information of what we're doing. So thank you very much. Now, as we're going back to the symbiotic relationship, this is really important for all of us to understand. Symbiotic relationship really refers to is two different entities or energies or two different beings having a mutual relationship. So that's really what it's talking about. So I wanted to address the symbiotic relationship because it's so important for us to understand. Here we are on what I call Mother Earth. This is also called Lady Gaia, Gaia, and we may have other names for her. But it's a feminine energy. And what is a feminine energy? A feminine energy is loving, caring, um, nurturing, taking care of you. And if we look at Mother Earth, what does she do? She nurtures us and loves us. How does she do that? Well, it's very simple how she does it. She provides food in many different ways, vegetables, works with the animal, mineral, vegetable kingdom, meaning there are minerals that we place in our body, minerals that we use to create different things. We use minerals to create stone and rock and granite and so on. Also provides all kinds of fuels, gas, fuel, even electric, believe it or not. Um, oil, and other products. And at the same time, it gives us beauty of the flowers and the grass, even the deserts, the wind, and so on. And I mention the wind because part of our symbiotic relationship is what I call the nature spirits, elves, gnomes, and fairies. Yes, they really do exist. People have pictures of them, photographs, and so on. More importantly, for us to understand with this symbiotic relationship, it's kind of like a harmony and balance. And the harmony and balance is that if we abuse something, then what happens is it begins to deplete and then it looks to heal itself. No different than you if you abuse your body and you make your muscles sore, even cut yourself or whatever, it takes time to heal. So Mother Earth, or Lady Gaia as we call her, she needs a lot of healing. And one of the ways in which we can heal her is send her love. And I've often talked about there's only two energies, love and anything that is not of love. Our responsibility, we are steward of Mother Earth. And when that steward of Mother Earth brings us sustenance, love, joy, happiness, he brings the sun, the rain, even the change of seasons, which allows her to rest and rejuvenate. But that's no different than you. You can't be working 24/7 without needing time to rejuvenate. But more importantly, we need to understand that in this symbiotic relationship, you have to give and take and give. We've been doing a lot of taking. Take from Mother Earth. And we forgot that Mother Earth has an intelligence and she works in combination with the nature spirits. Well, what are the nature spirits? We talk about the elementals, which I said elves, gnomes, and fairies. Has to do with the weather, has to do with the growth of vegetables, minerals, the animal kingdom. And we're an animal too. We're a higher order of animals, but we are. And I wanted to bring up this symbiotic relationship because we need to look outside our immediate sphere of energy. Many of us are so preoccupied with surviving, and that's all they are. And I get that, and I understand that we're involved with just surviving. And then what? How do we go above surviving? Well, there are very many people that are materialistic, and then we have a big division going on this planet right now in the United States because of all these factions that are going on. We're losing our ability to have the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech. Because if you say something gently, you're being judged one way or another. One group says you're attacking them. The other group says, no, I'm just explaining my stance. The other group says, if you do this, you do that. We're going back and forth. Do you not realize that this chaos, lack of love, lack of understanding, is causing weird, different, catastrophic weather? Think about that. What does that really mean? We're all in relationship to each other. Our emotions are energy. Rain is energy. Sun is energy. Wind is energy. Even the animal, mineral, and vegetable kingdom is energy because we're all what? Particles, molecules, neutrinos, mitochondria, protons, electrons, particles, so on and so forth, which, as you know, I call the soup mix. So let's take a look exactly what's happening. And again, we are waging war. We have a war in Ukraine, and many other countries are at war. They're having all kinds of problems. Well, it's great. How do you settle all these problems? The answer is we have to use critical thinking. Critical thinking says, wait a minute, I'm not going to listen to what the press says. I'm not going to listen to all these other people. I'm going to sit down for a few moments, remove all my filters, get my egos and biases out of the way, and see what's really, as the true source said to me, right action and correct exchange. What is really the right action and correct exchange? Well, let's narrow it down to something really simple. Period. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Isn't that simple? Just think about it. Would you want to intentionally hurt someone? Maybe your temper is there, but not your soul doesn't want to do that. You want to intentionally create chaos or get somebody fired or curse them or scream or yell at them. You don't like to have that done to you. So why would you do it to some others? And then they talk about the means justify the ends. All right. So If someone throws rocks at you, you're going to throw rocks back. You both get injured. Boy, that's really a winning situation, isn't it? Really wins. You're both harmed. It's time for us on this planet to stop and think. How would I like to be treated? Think about that. And then to begin treating people that way. Well, what happens is, well, I'm nice to them, but they're not nice to me. Well, here's our expectations. We expect to change in 2.3 milliseconds. That's not really reality. But remember, there was a movie, a young man calling Pay It Forward. When somebody did something nice, you pay it forward. I believe there was a movie about that. And I think there may have been a TV show, but I'm not sure. Paying it forward really means is right action and correct exchange. So as you bring love and joy or do something nice, the next one does something nice. And that's so beautiful. How many times have you done something out of your way for someone, and then maybe a month, 2 months later or something comes back to you and they do something kind to you? You probably forgot that you did something kind 2 or 3 months ago, but that's the way it works. So what we call is everything you do in our vernacular is there's a payoff. Let's be blunt. You do kindness, you get kindness. That's your payoff. You do harm, you get harm. It's that simple. And I know one of my very close friends had a gas card, and we'll just say I don't remember the next number, but the gas card, and it gave him $20 worth of gas, and he only used 14. After he was through, he took the gas card. He had $6 left. Gave it to the woman behind him. Said, "Hey, there's $6 left. You use it." Now he could have saved it for himself, but he shared it. And by sharing it, it came back to him in different ways. We have to remember that. Many years ago, back in the 40s and 50s, most people didn't lock their doors. No, they didn't. They didn't worry about crime or theft. Maybe in certain areas they did, but most of the areas they didn't. And if you got sick, your neighbor came over, gave you a pot of soup, or made you lunch or dinner, did something really kind. Do we do that anymore? We don't. And then we've lost our identity. Your identity is not your car, not your house, not the money you make, but your identity is how do you treat other people? Do you have respect for yourself? See, that's a critical question. Do you respect yourself? Think about that. We really don't. Because if you respected yourself, you would do kind, loving things. Not toys, not materiality, but kind, loving things. And if you're blessed to have materiality, by all means, do it. The basketball player, Shaq, he makes tons of money. And I saw him one time in a computer store, and his kids were looking at computers. And he said, "Do you have computers?" "No, we're just looking at them." He bought them 2 laptop computers. He just bought it for them. Just did it. That's how he shares his wealth. He does this kindness. And then he told his children, "Don't expect me to give you lots of money. You have to earn it," which is important. If we look at the weather over the years and what's happening, I remember in New England when I left back in 89, back in 1987 and 88, they had what they call the whitewater debacle, savings and loan debacle. They had one of the worst weathers ever. And if we look at that and go, what affects our weather? Our emotions, our thoughts. That's part of the symbiotic relationship. Remember, we're all energy. Our thoughts are electromagnetic. They can measure the electricity in your brain, pretty simple, using electroencephalograph. Magnetic means what you think you create, what you create you experience. And you know what happens? I've talked to people who are nice, maybe a little greedy at times, and then they come down with an illness, a cancer, or something worse. And then they begin to change. And they go, "Oh, I've got to change my life." And they become kinder and more thoughtful. Why wait till a crisis hits you? Although some people go, "Why me? Why me?" and they get angry. Everyone needs to understand that we are responsible for our own actions. And using reverse engineering, as a good friend of mine would say, David Muller, if we look at whatever the cause of our discomfort is, we look at it, we created it. There's no such thing as somebody as a victim. No one is a victim. We created that. And how you created it, you uncreated it. For example, you put on weight, you created eating too much food. How do you uncreate? Reverse engineering. Eat less food or the right food. If you've been angry and upset about someone and you come down with high blood pressure, heart condition, ulcers, whatever, look at what caused it, your anger. How do you change it? Reverse it. You change your anger. I know Tia would like to say something, so please do.
I do. When we catch ourselves doing something that's negative, and how do we rewire our thinking so that when we can stop those negative thoughts from getting worse?
Absolutely. Good, great question. First of all, I posted the other day, when we're angry with someone, we're really mad at ourselves. And I want to just go into a few minutes about it. Why are you angry at yourself when you're angry with somebody else? Because on a subconscious level, you're angry that you put yourself in a position to be judged, criticized, whatever, taken advantage of, and treated poorly. You put yourself in that position. So that's why you're angry. You're not really angry at the person. That's just a subterfuge. Really, you're angry at yourself. Therefore, how do you change your being angry and upset? Well, that's a very good question. First of all, you have to look at, what is the situation? Why are you angry with this person? Did they take advantage of you? Did they say something negative to you? So remember the old cliche, when they say something negative, they call you something, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. I'm sure some of you remember that. But more importantly, you need to examine that and say, why am I taking ownership of what they're saying? Why am I doing it? Well, I'm offended and it hurts my ego. Ding, 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 ding. I'm offended and it hurts my ego. It's all about your ego. You know deep within yourself if you are innocent, a good person, so on. The law says you're innocent till proven guilty. So think about that. You immediately become guilty because you offended someone. Why did you offend them? In their eyes, because there's a need to be accepted and appreciated. Why do you need to be needed, appreciated, and accepted? What's the real reason? Low self worth, self love, and self esteem. Always goes back to that, all the time. And I talked about this before, and Mia was at a party and I hadn't seen this woman in 8 or 9 months. She was in Mexico, and I said, "Hi, XYZ. You look really great. What do you mean by that?" She started screaming at me. And my friend came up and said, "Look, you've known Michael for years. He's not hitting on you, he's complimenting you. Can't you take a compliment?" And that's her, because she had had disastrous relationships. Anybody that complimented her thought that they would be hitting on her. And I just smiled and said, "No problem," because I wasn't hitting on her. I was giving her a compliment. I'd say to a woman that I know, "You look great," or a friend of mine, "Like that shirt," or "Hey, you look great in that, John," or whatever. We don't give compliments very much anymore. And I happened to be talking to a school teacher who was teaching middle school. He said, "Everybody is so sensitive. You got to watch everything you say. You even got to watch your facial expressions. Otherwise, they just jump and attack you and say all these things." Look what our society has become. Everybody finds some reason to say you're offensive, whatever it is. "You didn't smile at me. You're chewing the wrong way." Or, you know, "You're looking at me the wrong way." Or, "You're complimenting me. What's the reason you compliment? What do you want from me?" I mean, look at what our world's become. And what's sad is we're afraid to speak up. That's sad. Tia, go ahead. I know you wanted to say something.
I do. One of the things I've noticed is that a lot of parents are now using, iPads and cell phones and stuff as devices to keep the kids in check when they're shopping and things. And isn't that going to destroy the critical thinking and personal interaction with people when you're out there and in the real world?
Absolutely. We have become so technologically oriented that we've lost the art of communication, which is so important. We don't know how to communicate anymore. And that's what's so sad. So we have all the high tech. And you know the old cliche, if it's on the internet, it must be true, as they use that as a joke. Really, with things changing so much, our life isn't more simple, it's more complex. The other day I was at the bank and we were working on something. And I said to the banker, is it really easier with a computer? She said, no. There's so many challenges, so many doors we got to go through. So much of this, it's so much easier to write things down. And we use a ton of paper, as we know, with computers and printouts. And also, we hear a lot about people be getting hacked or their identity being stolen. I just had one of my clients, they stole stuff from her phone and they got all kinds of information and caused banking information problems. First of all, we have to realize that we don't have privacy, so we have to have privacy. And I may have mentioned this last week, but I'm going to mention it again. And in my meditations, John F. Kennedy came to me. He looked a little younger. I liked him as president. And he had a big smile. And he said, Michael, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Remember that famous phrase? And he had a great smile. And I said, thank you. He said, it's now time for us to speak up, speak our truth, and stop being humble, and speak for what we believe in, not in a way that destroys people, not in the way that becomes harmful for people, but in a way that creates critical thinking. And that's so important because one of the most important things we have to think about is to be fiercely independent, having self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem. When I say fiercely independent, not needing anything or anyone, choosing. That's the key word. You don't need anything. You choose something. And that's what's so important. I remember there was a clergyman giving a service, and he said two things that struck me. First thing he said, you can't afford anything, and your car dies. All of a sudden, you find the money to buy a new or used car. And how many times, when a person before they died, they were mean, ornery, and you said all these negative things about them. Let's say they were true, and all of a sudden they die, and a little while later, oh, they were a saint, they were beautiful. Like they said negative when they're alive. Now that they're deceased, you want to say good things because you feel guilty. That's why you're saying it. They are what they are. You are a magnificent soul, created out of love, by love, and from love, and with love. It is now time for us to get back to our inner self, to get back to our core, get back to our issues. Our issues is trying to do and achieving compassion, love, self worth, self love, and self esteem. Feeling good who you are. Remember, you chose your family, you chose your life, you chose everything. And now, no one can change you except you. No one can let go except you. Now, I know we're going to run a few minutes over, but I thank you for coming. We have some important information. And before I get off, I want to talk to something that's really important. And that is share this with others. Help others come in and hear what I'm sharing with you. I'm actually channeling the information. So the second Saturday of every month, which depending upon when you're seeing this broadcast, is coming up. And from 9:55 a.m. to 11:01 a.m., which is an hour and 6 minutes, I do what I call the mass consciousness healing. It's the second Saturday of every month. We are so powerful in doing healing of Mother Earth and all its inhabitants, which are you and I. This is so important. So I'm asking all of you to give up 1 hour and 6 minutes. The first few minutes that we're on, I talk from 3 to 5 minutes. That's about it, just welcoming people. And then about 10:58, 10:59, we come back out of our deep meditation. I play a little music, thank all of you, and then sign off. What happens for the next month? You'll be amazed. To you, do you have that information?
Yes, Michael, I do. The call-in number for that is 202 926 1059, and the access code, Michael?
125446 pound. One more time, please.
Absolutely. 202 926 1059, and the access code?
Well, access code is 125446 pound. Thank you, everyone. Using the same telephone number, the same code, every Tuesday night from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I do what is called Soul Awakening. And actually, what that's all about is simple. And that is you ask any kinds of questions, and hopefully I can answer them. And then I take about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and deliver something that's really motivational. And that's 6:30 p.m. Pacific time to 7:30 p.m. And it's the same telephone number and area code, so we'll just give it once.
Absolutely. It's 202 926 1059, and the access code?
125446 pound. Also, it's what I call the replay, those 10-minute messages, and they go from number 3 to about number 210 or 12. I'll have to get the exact number again. So if you're driving your car, you're stuck in traffic, you're having a bad day, just go on and listen. Now, you're not going to know what message it is between number 3 and 210, but you'll pick the right number. And you go, just what I needed to listen to. So please share that with them, please.
And the recordings, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. The recordings are, that number is 434 300 4170, and the access code?
125446 pound. One more time, please.
Absolutely. It's 434 300 4170, and the access code?
125446 pound. Please tune into that. And then, as you know, every Thursday night from 7 to 7:30, you can access us, and you go to Dr. Michael B. Gross on YouTube to see all the posts, the messages of motivation, and even these wonderful, what I call Facebook Live or podcasts. So thank you, everyone. And now it's time for us to share something really important. And what I want to share with you is these books called Healing the Holes in Your Soul by Tio Knapp. And it's very important. I want to share this with you because it talks about a long journey of coming into enlightenment and finding our true self. A must read.
Let's start with this one. This is Dr. Michael Gross's The Spiritual Primer. This is his second edition, so there's extra golden nuggets in here that weren't in the first one. And if it wasn't for this book and the really incredible gentleman right next to me, that book that he's holding would not have been written. Oh, my goodness, I can't talk today. That book would not have been written had it not been for his help. He taught me so much to get out of my own way, and everything that he's talking about regarding symbiotic relationships is totally spot on. So definitely, go to Michael's page on Michael's channel on YouTube, Dr. Michael B. Gross, because you'll see all the recordings that we do on lives on Facebook. And you will also have the opportunity to listen to his recorded messages on that YouTube channel as well. So thank you so much, Michael, for joining us tonight, and for all of you joining us as well.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. And remember, you are unlimited. Namaste, everybody. We love you. Have a great day. Have a great, wonderful month. Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.